This is a Kirkendall Barrett presentation, darling.
Feed me, meow, meow, meow.
Because of this podcast, I'm a gay icon.
I'm so hot. I'm so good looking. My salad dressing is amazing.
Like the internet at large, there are things you can do on the internet besides porn, but most of it's porn.
A lifetime of Hallmark.
Well, hello everybody. It is your favorite day of the week. It is time for another episode of A Lifetime of Hallmark, where we talk about your favorite movies on both Lifetime and the Hall and try to make sense of them. I am Les Kirkendall Barrett. Hello, Jason Beth.
Hello, Les Kirkendall Barrett.
And hello, Kurt Fitzpatrick.
Oh, I jumped the gun. Sorry.
And
I jumped the gun. Hello.
look at you.
I know. Because I'm so excited. Hello, Les Kirkendall Barrett. Hello, Jason Bowers. And hello. This is what threw me off. I have to add a name. Hello, host of the shelf-shedding movie show, Jason Dubray.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Thank you so much
Welcome
for having
back.
We welcome you back with
I wish.
quite a doozy of a movie, Jason.
The movie will be one thing, but I'm happy to talk to the three of you. So that'll be a separate thing, I think.
Well, I think we have opinions on the movie.
Oh, we've been getting into it I've been on Jason's podcast, doing the podcast the last couple weeks, the Oscar episodes, and we've been getting into it. It's getting hairy over there.
What is the
Uh-oh.
What's the most heated argument you've had so far on the podcast?
Well, Robert Downey Jr., we had disagreement about that.
Yeah, Danielle Brooks.
Yeah.
We got
Yeah.
a little bit on that, and then I think we nearly with Bradley Cooper as well, but I think I was less caffeinated for that one, so I was.
Oh yeah, I liked Bradley Cooper's performance. I thought that he was a little over the top. I thought it worked. Really? Okay.
I refuse to see the movie because Bradley Cooper's in it.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
I don't like him as an actor. He's pretty to look at. I don't think he's a good actor. I don't like him.
I like him, but I have high expectations for him, and I think that was what threw me off. I guess with this I was surprised, and I think he was really like, "Give me the Oscar now, please." That's what I felt from.
I'll put on a nose.
And
The Oscar.
I mean, you're doing a biopic about a musician. You're putting on a prosthetic nose, and you're directing the thing yourself. You are like. You may as well just wear a T-shirt the entire movie that says, "I would like an Oscar, please."
This
So
has
funny
some
that you
really
guys
cool
mentioned
shots. Anyway,
It's so funny that you guys mentioned Danielle Brooks because I'm actually going to a screening of Color Purple tomorrow night, and Danielle Brooks is doing a Q&A.
Nice.
Ooh.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Well, don't mention
And
the
it's cool. So
shelf-shedding movie show.
Right?
Dude.
Don't mention that to her.
I was mean.
So like last week,
I'm sorry. We're all talking at once.
last week I went to Barbie and Billie Eilish and Q&A.
And who was there? I'm sorry, you cut out there.
Oh, Amara and Billie Eilish.
America Ferrera. Got it.
Don't talk to Kurt about America Ferrera, as it turns
And
out.
that's not true. She was
had
good.
to defend her,
Yeah.
which was part of the Danielle Brooks conversation.
I
just
actually
didn't
might be on the
underrate
same side as Kurt on this one.
Hmm.
I like America Ferrera. I liked that performance, but that performance is essentially the Oscar speech that she gives, and without it, there's not much of an arc there.
Ooh.
Now,
The movie, without that speech, if you think the movie works.
But couldn't have someone else given that speech just as well?
Well, she has to give it in the movie. It makes sense that she gives it.
All right. Well,
because
Les,
she's
I was
the
gonna
only
offer...
human in Barbie Land.
Yeah, except the daughter.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Les, I was going to offer my condolences. I did hear that you had to watch Barbie again.
How dare you, Kirk Fitzpatrick?
Wow.
How dare
I've been
you?
waiting all day to say that.
How
I knew that's
dare
the
you. You're gonna
reaction
have
I was
to
going to get. I'm going to watch Barbie again, too. I'm going to watch it again, too. I have to give it another shot.
So I've seen it 4 times.
Oh, wow. I've seen it twice.
Ooh.
Wow.
Well, the only reason I went for the last time was because of the Q&A.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that looked really exciting, and those 3 people, just to be in the room with them would be amazing. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was, and get this. It made a Billie Eilish fan out of me because Billie Eilish was actually very cool and very sassy. I left liking her.
She's a good interview.
Yeah.
I like her.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, she's got Tourette syndrome. I heard her talk about that. It's kind of interesting.
She dropped the F-bomb a lot.
Yeah.
Her parents were there. Her dad was kind of like,
Okay.
Like he was actually, her dad was actually, I thought her dad was attractive. so there you go.
Okay.
Now, speaking of a good interview, Kurt, do you have any Blac Chyna news?
Doing a piece of China.
China.
I'm talking China.
The Blac Chyna Report. Here's Kurt Fitzpatrick.
Still not any Blac Chyna news from the last couple weeks, but this is from January 15th from People magazine. Blac Chyna is celebrating 1 year, 4 months sober. I'm going for the 2.
Yay.
She's celebrating 16 months of sobriety and counting. On Sunday of that week, she posted a video on Instagram after reaching the milestone, coming home to a surprise from her boyfriend, songwriter, and rapper Derek Milano. Milano laid out sticky notes for each month of sobriety, pairing each with a handwritten motivational message. He also included a custom cake and balloons for her. I just walked in the house and look what Derek put together for me. He put all these special notes for me for all the months of my sobriety, White 35 said as she showed off the sweet gesture. Today marks 1 year, 4 months of my sobriety, 16 months. I'm going for the 2. White also posted a photo of the moment she called her formerly estranged mother, Tokyo Tony, and showed her the cake Milano got her. She even included a screenshot from her 12-steps app tracker celebrating the sobriety milestone. So she's grateful for that. And in October 2023, she appeared on the latest episode of the Vile Files podcast and discussed how she managed to make such great progress in her sobriety and fitness journey. During the show, host Nick Vial asked the model what pivotal moment made her decide to really tackle getting and staying sober. It's a very hard thing. I had to teach myself discipline, White admitted. Even with my sobriety, working out, and becoming closer to God with my spirituality, all that stuff takes discipline. It's not just a one-day thing. These are things that you have to continue to do on a daily basis. All these things are going to come at you through your mind, body, and your soul and spirit. So I was like, you know what? If I stay disciplined, like, all right, this is my set schedule for working out. It doesn't matter if I stayed up the night before. If I have to go to work at a certain time, you're going to work out, she explained. So she has put the work in, especially as someone in the public eye, but she wanted to be in a good space all around. Sometimes it can become hard, and with the sobriety, I just needed a clear mind. I just feel like my kids are getting older. I just needed to be 100% clear-minded all the time. So if you or someone you know is struggling from substance abuse, please contact the SAMHSA helpline at 1-800-662-HELP.
So I'd like to point out, I wasn't laughing at her sobriety. It just sounded like she had like almost like a fitness watch that was counting her sobriety. I forget how it was worded in that story, but I just pictured like, like a Fitbit, but like it's just tracking her days sober.
that does
could work.
funny.
I mean, I guess that's
hour
not
before.
very different than an ankle bracelet.
Yeah.
Bro. It's really
Not
not.
for everything.
Well, she has it's just been a new journey for Blac Chyna, and she's on it.
Is that why there's less
So
news
I have a
about it?
question. I have a question for Jason Dubray.
Yes.
So what do you think is going to win Best Picture?
Oh, I think Oppenheimer is going to win Best Picture. Whether that is my choice, we haven't recorded that show yet.
Right.
We've covered the acting categories in the first two. then we'll do director and picture in the last one. So I don't want to give all my cards away, but as far as what I'm predicting is Oppenheimer. But I mentioned to Kirk, there was some, you know how these articles come out around this time of year looking for an upset or something? There was some Collider or one of those organizations was saying that there might be a push for the holdovers to do I'm surprised that the holdovers won Best Picture, but you know, who knows? I mean, a few years ago, I mean, we've had this happen with the Oscars having kind of a last minute. Coda would be one that kind of came out of nowhere, and people watched it just at the time the Academy was voting, and then it came in and won. So I don't know, crazier things have happened, but
I love the holdover.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah,
I loved it.
Yeah.
And Divine Joy Randolph is like sweeping.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I lost it in the first episode. I've never cried on my podcast, but I did describing a scene in there and making obviously my case for her in that category. And I just the scene in Boston where she has her boys' clothes, when baby clothes. I mean that one kind of, I hadn't thought of it. I had no idea that was coming, Kurt. You handled that really well, but I was just kind of, as I said, I was heavily caffeinated that day. I was talking about Robert Downey Jr. and America Ferrera and some. I was just like, well, that's everybody is good in that movie. Those three, and that young guy who didn't really get as much attention, Dominic says, I've mentioned him a couple times. He gives quite a good performance. It's tough to keep up with those other two. Monty in particular.
Yeah.
But,
And he never acted before. He was never in a movie before.
First film, I think. Yeah.
Wow.
And it was so interesting because I went to a screening of The Holdovers, and Divine Joy Randolph was she did the Q&A.
Nice.
And so she said that the one high school that they filmed at, not the boarding school, I guess there was another school that they filmed at, that was actually his school.
Oh, wow.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That'd be a little bit weird. Well, maybe not.
So she said that there was this thing, there was like a bulletin board, and it had kids' papers on it. And she said like he called her over and pointed to one of his papers on the bulletin board where he got an A. So that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so yeah, it's gonna be it's winding down. Don't forget to vote for the SAG Awards, gentlemen.
Oh,
What's the deadline?
That's
I just realized it today.
Friday.
Okay.
Friday.
All right.
That's your cutoff for the voting is Friday, and then the awards are presented Saturday on Netflix, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it? Okay. Yes. All right. Well, I watched a lot of it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Preparing for my show, like unlike Academy members, we've seen the nominated films. That's something that
Yes, we have. We've seen them.
Well, this film that we're about to talk about would definitely be nominated for a Razzie and win.
I was so angry with you, Les. So angry. Like,
Oh, you get mad at Les.
well, I'm mad at Les, and here's why. And this is where I know I'm being irrational with part of my anger towards this movie is I don't like corset costume dramas. If they are wearing corsets, if it's like in the old like anything before like 1900, if it's set then, I don't want to fucking watch it. And when this movie shifted and didn't go back, I wanted to I wanted to go buy a car so I could drive over to your apartment and kick the shit out of you. I was so mad.
Wow. I didn't know that you didn't like movies with a core. This is a new one.
I don't. But one thing,
Kurt?
No, but it's like how some people are racist, like they don't like people of different races. You're
Of course it is.
Arist. You're an arist.
You're Eric.
I guess
You don't
so.
like the Western era, the corset era.
Fine, I'll own it.
No idea.
I'll own it. And then another thing that I'm sorry?
You like the disco era?
I don't love it. I was alive for it, but I don't love it. But it doesn't bother me seeing it on film.
You
No
live in the
eras.
moment.
He doesn't like any eras.
No, I like eras.
You're an earist.
What eras do you like?
I like mid-century, like anything with the skinny ties and the really cool, funky, modern-looking furniture. I love that.
So like 80s on?
80s, I don't love watching 80s because I lived through it, and whenever they put it on screen now, it's cheesy. But I still, I enjoy it. But like, if I were to pick an era that I wanted to see in a movie besides present day, it'd be like late 50s, early 60s.
Oh, see, we did honestly. We did not know this.
Well, don't drag me into this.
But the thing that I have brought up on this podcast that I truly hate in these Hallmark movies is when they reference other art. When they reference other art as a way of trying to make them seem like they're making better art than they actually are because they're aware of this better art.
Yeah.
And that's what this entire movie was.
Yeah.
They really played up. I mean, almost. I don't know if it'd be fair to say they plagiarized Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah.
They did.
It was like shitty fan fiction.
Yeah. I mean, this isn't like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead or something here, where they're like, aware of Hamlet and then kind of adding this side story. They're just telling the story and then messing it up a little bit.
And I'm not familiar. I'm broadly familiar with some of the things in Sense and Sensibility, but I've never seen or read it, so I don't know these characters. I don't care about these characters, and so every beat of this movie that was referencing things in Sense and Sensibility, I was lost.
Is it Sense and Sensibility or
Pride and Prejudice, rather?
Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah. No, it's Pride and Prejudice.
They advertised
Yeah.
an all-black cast Sense and Sensibility that's coming up in a few weeks.
Oh, because there's a series. They were doing advertisements. There's like 4 of them or something, right?
Yeah, Love You Wary is all Jane Austen inspired.
Okay. So this is like a painful month for
Sensibility
you on the Hallmark.
Fuck yeah.
The Sense and Sensibility looked like it was going to be like Bridgerton.
Yeah, it looked a little Bridgerton-y.
Yeah, but
Jason, do you?
Yeah, I had no idea that there was a corset.
Yeah.
Well, no. Okay.
Now
So,
you know.
Jason Bowers. So, do you like what do you call it? Game of Thrones. Do you like that?
No,
That's
I
not
hate
really an
fantasy
era.
stuff too. I don't watch
Okay.
any fantasy stuff. I
It's
fell
kind of
asleep watching Lord of the Rings on an IMAX screen.
That's an era, kind of. The Hobbit
Kind
era.
of. Well, that's a genre, I'd say.
I think I met somebody once who thought that was part of world history.
So like no Great Gatsby, no nothing.
Lord of the Rings.
Great Gatsby I would like because that's early 1900s.
Okay.
This is
Yeah.
tough to
Yeah,
navigate.
no. Gatsby would be, that'd be different.
That falls within my perimeter. My really absurd, wildly unrealistic parameters.
That you're willing to accept.
What about cavemen? Do you like that era? No? What could you possibly get? These people are just trying to make a wheel.
Wait, I mean, like, I like the Flintstones. So sure, I like cavemen.
Yeah.
All right, so good. Yeah.
But those old
Initially, it
Geico
sounds like
commercials,
you're
no.
corset. It sounds like corsets were the problem, but it sounds like it's just several decades and time frames in history that you don't care for
Yeah.
in your art, which is fine.
I actually legitimately think what part of it is stuff that's sort of set between the 18 and 1900s, especially if there are British accents. We're almost conditioned as audiences to assume that it's going to be better than something that's set in present day, and that's not necessarily true.
Well, this one had so many holes in it, though. Because
But I didn't even know there were holes because I don't know the original source material. That was the biggest problem with this thing.
No. But like, I'm not even talking the original source material. Like this movie just happened.
No, I no. That's what I'm saying is I wouldn't know that there are holes because I don't know the source material, which is like blatantly ripping off.
I don't know about that. It's later on that taxi driver. That's not a taxi driver I've ever encountered in. I think it's supposed to be New York City that this is set, right?
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
It is, okay.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that.
No, it's supposed to be New York.
It's not a New York cabbie I've ever encountered, but
Well, she didn't seem to pay him.
No.
Maybe there's a new way of
yes,
paying
you
people.
pay him. That was a bit of a. I noticed that. That was a bit of a.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I haven't.
he was pretty angry with her. I think he'd want his money before he would kick her out of the cab. And why wouldn't he take her for a longer cab ride to get more money?
And also, why couldn't she just take an Uber? Because she clearly had her phone and apps because she rented that scooter.
That's what people would do now. Yeah.
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 This cab driver used to rip me off. I think they thought I was some kind of rube.
Yeah.
Drive me in some back streets. What are you doing? Where are you going? Oh, I don't know. I look like a rube.
But yeah, I'm a sucker for a girl time travel movie.
All right.
I'm a sucker for a girl with powers. A lady voiceover. I'm a sucker for a lady voiceover, and none of these tricks worked.
I would have been okay with the corsets if the conceit were somehow this was a body switch movie.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Oh,
That's a loophole. All right. Well, it gets
wait. So then,
Well, because I
would-
really liked her being a fish out of water because she was this modern day person set in this setting that she didn't know how she got there. So I just wanted some sort of justification other than it being a dream. Spoiler.
Well, at least esteemed actress Sarah Ferguson was in it.
Best cameo ever.
Not since her Weight Watchers commercials have I seen her.
She was
put her heart and soul in her performances.
She was clearly reading cue cards
Looking in the
too.
wrong direction of the people she's talking to, but that's okay.
Yeah,
We'll take
it was like watching an SNL.
It was like an SNL. That's exactly right. So, oh, look who we got to walk into for this sketch and look uncomfortable.
It's like, wow, that's a throwback. She's from a different era.
Here's something that might have made it a little bit more fun. I don't know. Wouldn't it have been interesting if when they go for that dinner, like he takes her away from her job at the library and then they close down the library because she's not going to be there at the beginning, and they're having the dinner, and then when she's turned around, had accidentally drugged her. And this whole thing was like some strange trip.
That would be the Lifetime version of this
that would be
movie.
good.
Yeah,
Maybe that is what happened.
could be.
Here's how you do a body switch, because that book that she gets late, when she's in the past, that is then in present day. Why isn't it the same book? Maybe she pulls it off the shelf at the library at the same time somebody in the past is pulling it off a shelf within I can't think of the Austen book now.
Pride and Prejudice.
Pride and Prejudice. They pull it at the same time, and they're transported into different worlds in that exact moment.
I like that. I really like that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could do a split, like a Brian DePalma split screen as they're grabbing it at the same time, and you watch the switch happen there.
Yeah.
You could add some like old style special effects and a little bit of a musical sound.
Yeah, and Hallmark has been doing this thing where they're trying to stretch out their movies so that they get more out of these characters and the audience gets more invested. Then you get at least 2 movies out of this. You get the present day with the girl from Pride and Prejudice, and then you get the Pride and Prejudice with the girl from present day. 2 movies.
Oh, like
I like the Brian De
movies?
Palma. I like the Brian De Palma idea. Add some more like elements from his movies. Have like a crazed John Lithgow character and
yes,
Carrie. Throw her in there. And
I would love for
banging
Brian De
people against the
Palma
wall.
to direct a Hallmark movie.
I would too. Yeah. Sounds
I
like-
think
Nancy
it's fine
Allen would
for
be in it.
Who's that, Les?
Nancy Allen, because remember Nancy Allen was always in the Brian De Palma movie.
Oh yeah. Were they married or something?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, she was very much his muse for all those,
Okay.
and she's fantastic in those movies too. But yeah, I'd be happy with
Plug
that.
it up. Plug it up.
Yeah.
So should we
let's
actually
get started.
dig into
Let's
the
go.
movie?
Yeah,
Well-
let's do it. Let's go. It's getting late in the
Okay.
East Coast.
Okay, so we see a woman. She's running through a field. Voiceover. And so I thought, okay, good, we have a voiceover.
The running in the field legit
running,
made it
running,
look
running,
like a
running,
Lifetime
running.
movie at first.
And then she stops, and we find out that she's right, and she's in the library, and we find that she's a librarian. And for me, this was a bad omen because she was not busy. And normally, our Hallmark heroines are always very, very busy. She seriously made me go like, uh-oh, she's not busy. This isn't going to be good.
But she was trying to write her
So
novel,
then,
right?
yeah. I guess it sounds like she was plagiarizing Jane Austen, pretty much.
Yes. Yes, she was.
Brings back,
Is that-
she was reading Love in the Time of Cholera, and she didn't like it. So Harriet takes her to the Jane Austen section, and she says that Pride and Prejudice changed her life.
And why did it change her life? Because it helped her get through her parents' divorce.
Yes.
They said the D word right out of the gate.
Yes. Right.
Brave.
So then she's talking about, Mr. Darcy, and then her boyfriend Ethan shows up. And she asks her boss to leave early, and now her boss, so I'm still like loving Odette from last week.
Yes.
So I thought that her boss was very lame today because I want every boss from now on to be like Odette.
Yeah, the movie we watched last week, Jason, was a Lifetime movie. Odette looked a little bit like Megan Mullally, and she was kind of like sassy best friend, but no nonsense boss at the same time, and she was amazing.
Yeah.
That'd be
I
fun.
thought she was a little nosy. I thought she looked a little like Ruth Bader Ginsburg a bit. She had kind of a look like that.
Odette looked like she'd work in a library. She did.
Okay.
Like the sexy librarian.
Well, Megan Mullally
That's
plays a librarian on Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Sorry, is Ruth Bader Ginsburg sexy?
To some.
Well, I think
Kind
back
of.
in like the 40s or whatever, she was.
Well, she was on the Supreme Court. That's kind of hot.
Yeah, we don't know what's under that robe.
Yeah.
There you
She's
go.
a sexy librarian.
so the boyfriend Ethan takes we find out it's their anniversary, and they go to this restaurant and they have a bad table. I thought, Kurt, you would like this because they were eating pie.
They were the bad table because they were outside. It seemed that was their issue.
Well,
They
they're
wanted to be
outside, but they're also like right by not necessarily the kitchen, but like one of those like wait stations where they have all the silverware and stuff, and they were just getting kind of bumped into. It was a bad table.
Yeah. So then we find out Harriet's having writer's block. She also can't find her phone.
Oh, they also said that their first date was eating string cheese in a parking lot. Now that
would've been
sounds
my last date.
No, that sounds good to me. I don't have a problem with that. And did she like it?
I mean, she's still there
Also-
with this guy 3 years later.
See, I like this guy. I'm rooting for Ethan. I like a dorky, nerdy man-child who on the first date they eat string cheese in a parking lot. Finally, a character I can relate to.
I agree with you.
I'm rooting
I
for
like
this guy.
Ethan too, but we don't know that the string cheese was his idea. Maybe it was hers.
Right.
Maybe that's maybe
was
that's a
my
euphemism
idea.
for his penis.
Damn.
I don't like string cheese.
we're getting to it, but the maybe is what I understood. I related to that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Really? Yeah, because what happens is Ethan proposes to Harriet, and she says
Maybe.
Now, Jason, how can you relate to the maybe?
Well, you want to get a coffee? Maybe. Would you like to go out sometime? Maybe. I'm used to a maybe. I never get.
Do you want to get married? Maybe.
Yeah. That would be worse. I feel bad for the guy, but you know, I mean, he thought the guitar and the singing was a good idea.
No,
a little cringy.
That was I don't know. That was rough, but I don't know. Back in the day, I might have tried that one.
Yeah,
now,
me too. Boy, thank God we're past that era.
Now I gotta say, at least he didn't ask her in public, like in front of people.
He did. He asked in front of all our coworkers. They helped him do the proposal.
But it wasn't like in like a restaurant.
Well, he didn't do it on like a jumbotron, but you still like you don't involve other people in your proposal. You just don't.
Okay.
If people say maybe and you're humiliated.
Even though I'd like it if he got up on the table and proposed to her at that restaurant, and then the kid came in and bumped him, and then he fell off the table.
Yeah,
right.
I think that would be funny.
And maybe breaks his neck, and they have to pause the filming of the rest of the movie.
Oh, that would be good.
I don't want the actor to be hurt.
No, not that. But I just don't want to have to watch the movie.
He goes into a separate fantasy about I don't know what's he read.
He's fantasizing about being in any other movie. It's just him and Singing on the Rain, and he's tap dancing. Could not be happier because he's not in this movie.
Nice.
So, you know, Harriet's having issues, of course, after this, and she's confused, and she wishes on a shooting star, and she wishes for Mr. Darcy. And then she wakes up, and she's in a buggy. Now, the part that annoyed me about this is she wakes up, and she's thinking that it's a bit, and she's thinking that it's like some kind of reenactment sort of a thing, but she, like, how could you think it's a reenactment thing if you don't even realize how you got there?
Kurt, you'll relate to this one. Remember when we reviewed Secrets of the Yaya Sisterhood, and those old women kidnapped Sandra Bullock, drugged her, and then suddenly she found herself in a different state?
Yeah, it was
that's what this woman thought had happened to her, and she seemed pretty happy.
It was a criminal act.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, she was kidnapped.
Yeah.
Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, but in this case, our protagonist seems happy because this is definitely. I don't think this could represent anywhere in New York City that I'm aware of, but.
Well, this is why I almost thought a body switch movie would have made more sense. Is the entirety of the movie, she's questioning whether or not she's really there and whether or not this is really a bit that Ethan's doing. If you were having a dream that you were in Pride and Prejudice, you wouldn't be questioning why you're there. The dream's just happening and you're just going along with it. If you're questioning it, then we need to explain the rules to the audience as to why she doesn't know she's there.
Right, exactly. No, I agree, Jason.
No more body switching movies. I've had it.
Wow.
Now,
I don't like it. The whole family switched bodies in that last one with Jennifer Garner. Enough is enough.
Mm-hmm. Oh, did you see that movie?
No. I don't have to. Nothing new under the sun.
No courses for me, no body switching for Kurt.
No body switching. I've had it. I've had enough.
Did you see 13 Going on 30?
No. I saw Like Father Like Son with Dudley Moore and Kirk Cameron when those two switch places. They should switch places now. I didn't mean that. I didn't mean what I just said. I forgot Dudley Moore had passed. Sorry about that.
Wow.
I feel bad about that. That was dark. I didn't mean that. Yes, where were we?
But this is more of like 13 Going on 30 where Jennifer Garner, the 13th Jennifer Garner woke up in like adult Jennifer Garner.
Yeah. 13
That was
going
an
on
entertaining
30
movie.
isn't really a body switch as much as it's like a time jump, like big.
Then there's another
But-
one. Matthew Perry becomes
18 again.
Zac Efron. Yeah.
But the time switch in that kind of made sense because she woke up in her adult self, but she kind of still knew what was like. She didn't know what was going on, but then she did. She kind of did. And then she had like Judy Greer to kind of guide her along.
God.
What about,
And who
what
wouldn't
about
like
the one
that?
where Vince Vaughn will switch bodies and he was a teenage girl?
Too much.
I don't know if
Oh,
I
wait,
know
was
that one.
I hope
That
that
was
doesn't exist.
entertaining.
Is that real?
It was a horror movie. Sort of, yeah.
Oh yeah. Enough is enough.
Forget the name.
Enough is enough.
And my apologies to Kirk Cameron because I didn't mean that, but he should apologize to us too because he's up to no good.
He should
Oh, no, he should
apologize to
apologize
humanity.
to us for sure.
There's some things to apologize.
But I don't wish people die. I'm not. That's bad karma. I
Well,
wasn't. Gonna say that.
did you see Happy Death Day?
No. Oh, maybe I did. Yeah, I think I did see
Where
that.
the girl
Yeah,
would
I
like
did.
wake up and it was like the same day over. It was like Groundhog Day, except for she would die. She'd get murdered every time.
That's a whole other thing. That's a whole other thing.
All of these are so much better than the movie we're talking about.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
That's all that my
Much
son
better.
included.
Okay.
Oh, so she's in the buggy and she's
lot of work out
still
there.
in her nightgown with no shoes.
Oh, she thinks
And
she's
so-
in. Les, do you remember you and I went to a reenactment house in Indianapolis? Like there.
Yes, I remember.
That's what she thinks she woke up in, something like that.
And wasn't it for President? What president was it?
I don't know, President Hoover or something. Somebody from Indianapolis.
And like the reenactors were very serious about their job. And remember, wasn't that the one where we went and talked to the president?
I think so.
Like we
yeah.
went into the room and it was us in the room with the president.
Wow.
Yes.
Harriet seems like a fairly smart person. If this were actually some sort of like reenactment, this was elaborate and would have been super expensive to put together.
Yeah.
She thinks Ethan's got money, I guess.
Well, no, she
No,
doesn't
that-
because she said maybe.
well,
if
that-
she was
Exactly,
paying money,
Les.
she'd be like, yes.
I don't know. I think the money has carried him to a point. So I don't know.
Now, also, like she noticed a smell, but I think that like if it was real, like it would have stank because didn't they not bathe?
They make jokes about it throughout the
Really?
entire movie.
Yeah. I always think that when I'm watching a costume drama, like whether it's this or anything else, that they all look way too clean
Yeah.
They did, yeah.
and way too attractive.
Makeup.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you have way too many teeth.
And they're white,
And they're not.
usually.
Their
Not
hair
wooden.
wasn't greasy.
Oh, so she goes to the Bennett house,
Mhm.
and she still thinks it's a bit, and they think that she's their cousin
Yes.
from
That was a
America.
bit strange. Yeah. They were expecting an American cousin to just show up, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like the
What happened to
Descendants.
the actual American cousin? I don't know.
It's like the movie The Descendants, where George Clooney keeps running to his cousins the whole movie everywhere. Goes to the airport, there's a cousin. Goes to the bar, there's a cousin.
Yeah. Could be.
So they think she's weird,
Lots of cousins.
and then they're talking, and then there's going to be a ball, but she still has her nightgown. So they give her an outfit with a corset. Sorry, Jason.
Well, they keep commenting that
Tears
she's
rolling up in his eyes. Oh. Why did
The
you have to
message-
mention corset?
the message of the movie too is she's old and fat. They say it in the
At
movie.
30.
Mhm.
They say it in the movie. Not
There's
me.
lots of ageism.
What
Oh,
She's what, 31 or
ageism, weightism. Yeah.
this is actually one of my big problems with the theme of this movie of like sort of dipping into Jane Austen but trying to make a contemporary spin on it is it just highlights how viewed through today's lens, a lot of old art can seem very out of touch. It can seem very out of step with the reality of the way people live now. And it just kept pointing that out in kind of a gross way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be charming, but it's not.
No.
I didn't think so. No, it's sort of like the ageism and kind of like that's sort of how Hollywood is. If you work in TV or movies, there's such an emphasis on weight,
Yeah.
or as Paul Hogan said, white, and Barbara Walters, who I was interviewing, she said, "White? You mean white people?" He goes, "No, white. They're obsessed with white." Oh, wait.
But I mean, this movie kept trying to point out, like, oh, isn't it funny? They used to think that women over 30 were old hags and fat if they didn't get married. But here, the whole what ends up happening is she ends up getting married anyway. Spoiler, like, it kind of undercuts their own message.
So get this. So because they meet Mr. Bingley. And they meet Mr. Darcy, and Mr. Darcy was an asshole. I was Googling during this because I got bored at this point and started Googling. There was someone whose theory is that Mr. Darcy, the reason why he acted the way he did was because he was on the spectrum.
Wait,
And
the people have theories about this movie?
about Jane Austen and Jane Austen characters, and their theory is that there was more than one Jane Austen character who was on the spectrum, and Mr. Darcy was one of them, which would explain his behavior in the book.
But there's that, and again, I forget the details. Like the other one has stolen money from him, but made him look bad or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like he borrowed money or something.
My theory was that he's just really angry at him and he doesn't really trust anybody and he's stuck at the social event and he doesn't really want to let anybody in. But
Didn't they pretty much say that in this movie?
Yeah.
Didn't they say that was kind of the reason why it was a dick?
You dick!
But then I guess in the book, he was like beyond what he was like in the movie. Like in the movie, he was like aloof and an asshole. But I guess in the book, he was like really just, you know.
Think about the time. If you had that kind of power and wealth, aren't you baseline going to be kind of a dick because society lets you?
Well, but at the same time, they wanted him to get married and find someone, but he was such a dick that he couldn't even find anybody. So I was like, is he on the spectrum? Is he gay? Like he just like it's resentful that he has to marry some woman and he's like doesn't want to.
That would be an interesting angle on it, I think, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was supposedly like unbelievably hot.
Unbelievably hot, and he was being a dick to women for no reason. He probably was gay.
Because that was the thing. He had like total disdain to like the like you're like ugh.
Because in the famous miniseries, and I know there was also a shorter film version. This was the role that Colin Firth kind of made him put him on the map. Was playing Darcy.
Yeah.
Was it not?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the guy from Succession, he played Darcy in something as well. Matthew McFadden, who's in that?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not confirming. I'd have to look it up. It's been a while, but I saw the Keira Knightley film version. I saw it in theaters, but it was a long time ago. Yeah.
Okay.
But then in this, what was different was Mr. Darcy was being an ass. And Harriet was basically like, fuck you! I'm not going to take your shit! And he liked that.
Yes.
I just realized I have seen a version of Pride and Prejudice. We watched the Lifetime version, Pride and Prejudice Atlanta, for this podcast.
Oh, that's right! Wasn't Rudy Huxtable in it?
I believe so, yeah.
Oh really? Rudy is in it?
Yeah, Rudy Huxtable
I think Rudy and Vanessa were in it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. It must still be
vague memory of this, yeah.
So like she was having girl talk with the girls, and she was telling them, because they were like, "Oh my God, you're 30 and you're not married. You're like an old maid."
You old crow.
And she was like, "Well, I actually do have someone back home, but I told him that I wasn't sure if I wanted to marry him." And then she finally realizes, oh shit. Oh no, she talks to someone. Who does she talk? She talks to someone and she's like, "What's the year?" And he's like 1813. And she realized that she really was there.
It was just some random guy she ran into in the street.
Yeah, she thought she saw her boyfriend, but it wasn't him.
Yeah.
But she finds out that she's in 1813. And so she realized that she really is back there. Then the next day, she wakes up. She's still there. She goes down to the table. And they're having breakfast. Now, I wondered, because they asked her if she wanted toast. I wonder how long it took to make toast back then.
Oh, they had crumpets and these little dessert things. Who was making this stuff? Was it the mother?
The maids.
They probably had maids, yeah.
Were there maids there? Okay.
Yeah, they lived in this big house.
I would assume toast is fairly easy back then. If you've got an open flame, you just, wave that bread over it. It's ready.
One thing I haven't gotten about this, because my understanding of the story, though, is they've got all of these girls to marry off, and it has to be like the oldest to the youngest, and they're financially strapped, I think, and they're needing the money for like the dowry or whatever, and that's why there's this big pressure from the mother in particular to marry the oldest daughter off, and maybe several of them, because they're struggling for money. But I think they still do have servants or something. So
yeah.
And
wasn't it really messed up? Because even if, let's say, they get like the daughter marries someone for their money and he dies, didn't the money like not even still go to them? Like, so they're pretty screwed if the husband ever died. Like,
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like Mr. Belvidere. Sometimes they had episodes where they were having like money issues. Meanwhile, they got Mr. Belvidere working for them.
Oh, yeah.
And we watched that. That's triggering because my dad got mad at us because we didn't notice this in the show.
That Mr. Belvedere was working in the
your brother did notice. Your brother did notice that the people they needed money and they had a butler. So I didn't notice either, Dad. I was like, yeah, I know.
Well, your father did notice the irony of a show with a family hiring a butler was set in like blue collar Pittsburgh.
That's what. Yeah, you should have noticed that from the beginning. That the premise was odd. I didn't know by watching Mr. Belvedere I was being tested, but apparently family trauma up at every corner. All right, back to the show.
Okay. So then Harriet faints.
She faints.
She faints.
Oh yeah.
And then she wakes up, and then all of a sudden she starts acting like Dorothy, like, I want to go home. And then Jane, one of the cousins, gets a letter from Mr. Bingley's sister inviting her for dinner, and her mom is like, listen, don't take the carriage. Why don't you ride a horse, because it's going to rain, and then that way, if you ride the horse, it's going to rain, and you're going to have to spend the night.
Is Mr. Bingley's sister the Duchess? Is that the conceit of the movie?
Is she?
Because
we some power.
She was clearly someone of note that Jane was excited about meeting her, and then when Jane's going to go, she finds out that she's not even going to be there.
Yeah, Mr. Bingley's not going to be there.
And then we meet the Duchess later in the movie, and it's a big deal. So I'm guessing maybe Bingley is the brother of the Duchess?
I guess. Yeah, he's a duke then.
I think so, yes. Yeah.
So then it turns out that Jane does ride a horse over there, but she does it in the rain. So she catches a cold. So since she catches the cold, she has to stay there for a few days.
Bedridden with this cold, too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about it. They didn't have like NyQuil or anything back then. If you had a cold, you'd like die.
She seemed healthy.
Like they had no Robitussin, no nothing.
No.
It's hard to swallow echinacea when you're wearing a corset.
or didn't they just drink like brandy?
No, they would cut a hole and one of her humors would pour out, and then she would feel better.
I would have liked that scene.
Me too.
It's good to have
That's
humor.
Lifetime.
Yeah,
So the next day, Lizzie and Harriet, Lizzie's one of the other cousins, decides to walk over to the house. And so they're walking over to the house. It probably took hours. They're walking through the mud. And then Harriet says, be careful, because don't get your dress dirty, because then when you get there, she's going to say that you look like a pig pen. And they get there, and the woman tells her that she looks like a pig pen.
Yeah. Well, at least she was ready for that.
So then Mr. Darcy is like still smitten with Harriet, and he takes her, and they're looking for books, and they're talking about books, and she's telling Mr. Darcy about Ethan, and Jane wants to leave, but they're like, no, Jane, you've got to stay here a few more days until you're better. So then they go and they're sitting in the living room, and what is she eating? Like some kind of...
Yeah, what was that?
It looked like one of those like those meringue cookies.
Yeah.
It's basically made of the same stuff you make lemon meringue, but they're sweeter.
Looked like she was chewing on a seashell.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, it did.
No, those little meringue cookies, they will crumble if you bite down on it too hard, and it's crumbs everywhere.
It was a bit to make her look awkward, I guess.
Yes.
And this is where I wrote, this movie's like a whole lot of nothing. Because nothing's really happening.
It's pretty slow. I mean, I haven't watched the number of Hallmark movies that you find folks have, but I remember Hallmark. It's a lot of the Christmas ones I have watched, and they seem to move, even if they're not particularly good. They move at a good pace. This felt like it dragged a lot.
One of the thing about this one too is, and I guess I give Hallmark a little bit of credit, because at least they were trying to do something that wasn't in the traditional mold of the very, very, very sameness of all of their other movies. They all have a very identical structure, and this definitely broke from that, but it didn't make the movie any better.
Right. Well, so Mr. Darcy, though, is laughing at her, and he's actually being shady towards her. And then Harriet tries to push Elizabeth on to Mr. Darcy.
Well,
and
Darcy also asked her to walk around his come on line, as he offers her to he says she can walk around the room while he writes correspondence.
Right. Oh, that sounds so fun.
Maybe that's like an ancient sexual harassment line.
It's no string cheese date. I mean, I tell you that.
Yeah, she had some weird dates.
Well, sexual harassment was like the thing back then.
I guess it is sort of like an old-timey version of being a stripper. Like, you want to watch a woman like sort of taking off her clothes. Darcy wants to saunter around his library while he writes with a quill.
Right.
Yeah, that is actually kind of hot.
Or as we find out later, as he plagiarizes with a quill.
Yeah.
I might be into that. I never even
the quill or the plagiarizing?
Woman's kind of prancing around while writing something with a quill.
No, she's not writing. She's just walking around the library looking at the books.
Yeah,
I think my writing is up there.
I'm getting into this.
I got to do another draft.
I'm gonna hold this thought.
My correspondence.
So then the next day, Harriet's talking to the other cousins, and she finally fesses up that she's from the future. Now, here's the deal. Is her telling them their future, is that how everything started to get messed up?
I think so, yes.
They never explained it.
Because was it like when Marty McFly started to disappear?
Again,
it's like somewhere in time. Just somewhere in time when he looks at the object from the present day, and then he has to screws everything up.
Within this movie, they needed some sort of structure to explain the rules of what was happening, and they didn't do that.
No, that's the problem.
I was wondering if Christopher Lloyd was busy to just come in for a day's work to just provide the exposition.
He's done Hallmark movies.
He's done Hallmark movies, yes.
Yeah, no, I know. So I just think he probably could use, a quick paycheck.
Probably read this script and said, no fucking thank you.
Right?
I'm not doing it. This is a piece of garbage. I'm not this desperate. I've already made for my health insurance for this year.
By the way, before we even got to that scene where she's trying to say she's from the future, we have a scene where Harriet's walking around outside, just taking a walk, and Darcy kind of creeps up on her. He's basically stalking her.
Oh yeah,
he was probably okay back then.
Back then, it's fine to stalk women.
I watched this documentary on Robert Englund. He was stalking his soon-to-be wife. He was like,
who, Freddie?
Yeah, he had his car parked outside her house, waiting, watching her. She was just walking.
That's at least kind of Freddie's brand, though.
It's true. He takes his work with him.
Yeah.
That's how he prepared for the role.
I was in a room with him once.
Who, Freddie Krueger?
Yeah.
Did you know he was in the room?
Everything. Yeah.
What was he doing?
It was like a Saskatoon Comic-Con type of thing.
Oh, okay.
I was volunteering. I was a handler or whatever that day. So not for him, but for somebody else.
That documentary's good.
Yeah.
Oh, is there a Freddy Krueger documentary?
There's a Robert Englund documentary.
So, what was he like? Was he like, my life, I'm stuck being Freddy, and that's all I'm known for?
No. He had a whole acting career before Freddy. He was in movies. He did a movie with Henry Fonda. He was in V. Movies. Yeah, and then he did V, and then V, and then Freddy Krueger's right after that. So now, since that, he does horror movies.
So he wasn't bitter like Ernest?
No, he works all the time, pretty much. I think he's had some slow periods.
Because Ernest was pretty bitter.
Yeah, he didn't seem like a bitter man to me. But I didn't spend a whole bunch of time talking to him. He was really happy to, embrace his.
I feel like I've seen him in interviews and stuff, and he seems very happy about it. He seems like he enjoys that part of his life and the career that it gave him, and why wouldn't he be happy,
Yeah.
And those Comic-Con things pay pretty well for them, right?
I think it does.
Yeah.
The amount they charge and everything, it's a good payday, I think.
Yeah. Anyway, I recommend the documentary. I don't know I'll look it up and I'll mention it at the end.
Oh, so then when Harriet tells Elizabeth that she's going to marry Mr. Darcy, Elizabeth is not happy about this.
No. She's
like, F you, Harriet. But meanwhile, Mr. Darcy is still into Harriet, and he gives her this book called Evelina, which is what inspired Jane Austen, I guess.
Yeah.
So then they go home, Harriet and Elizabeth, and then there's some guy. Elizabeth's mom is like, Mr. Collins is coming over. Because she's just really working on pimping her daughters out and getting them married.
Yeah. And this is where I was really getting lost with, okay, who is this new character they're introducing that they're assuming the audience knows who he is? I don't know who the fuck he is. They didn't care.
And some of them look very similar. Yeah. Like Darcy was pretty distinct looking, but yeah, all the other guys looked almost the same.
Yeah.
I didn't know who he was, but I cared.
And then it was like the mom was like brokering a deal because
Yeah.
Mr. Collins is like, well, I want Jane, and she's like, Jane is not available, but my other daughter is.
Yeah.
You can have her.
It's like a lineup at the Las Vegas brothel, you know?
Like
It really was.
Las Vegas, Nevada.
Not what was it? Not the Chicken Ranch. It was called the
What's that one that was on HBO? The Cat House. Is that it?
Cat House. Yes.
Yeah,
with Air Force Amy.
Air Force Amy.
That was her name.
It's like the lineup at the Cat House.
So the mom's all, well, no, this one's not available. She's on layaway. But this one is totally free.
It's mealtime. It's mealtime for this one. You got to go with the other one.
And so and Elizabeth is like, well, that's okay. I'm doing, because Harriet's like, well, what's going on? No, don't do that. And Elizabeth's like, I'm doing it to protect my family. So then we find out there's going to be another ball.
Do we see? So, Mr. Collins, have we reached that yet? Where he's at the table? Oh, you're talking about him, yeah. Mr. Collins talking about pea soup.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
That was a very weird.
He said it was one of the top 5 pea soups he's had.
He's judging the estate based on the quality of the peas in the pea soup. Yes.
I mean, I guess they were just trying to show that this guy is going to be a real drag for anyone who has to marry him, but the mom is still trying to push these girls on him.
Well, in the UK, though, because they love peas.
Honey, your
Yes,
pea,
yeah.
your
They do.
Your pea soup is moving up the charts.
Well, like, you know, because my husband is Jason Dubray. My husband is from the UK, so I go to the UK, and they like love like mushy peas, which is like bleh.
Yeah.
And you could order like mushy peas in a restaurant. I'm like, why would you want mushy peas? But anyway, so Mr. Darcy's still trying to impress Harriet, and so he's like, I wrote you a poem, and then starts to plagiarize Shakespeare. And she's like, you stole that. And he's like, well, yeah, but you inspired me too. So then meanwhile, Mr. Wickham, the hot military guy, Elizabeth is actually like into him. That's who she wants.
He was pretty.
He really was.
Mr. Wickham?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then we find out, because Mr. Wickham hates Mr. Darcy, and he tells them that he hates Mr. Darcy over money. And so Elizabeth is really into Mr. Wickham, and then Harriet's like, you can't be into him because he's not going to show up at the ball anyway, so you need to go for Mr. Darcy. So then they go to the ball, and they meet the original Fergie, Sarah Ferguson.
Yeah.
Fergalicious. Now, were they looking to do stunt casting and Joey Buttafuoco wasn't available or what?
Which, by the way,
And mom, she could have.
Sarah Ferguson is having, like, they have financial issues, so I'm sure she actually was not that expensive.
Well, I think she was a producer on this.
Yeah, executive producer on the
She
episode,
was?
on the movie. Yeah.
Well, that was probably part of her payment.
Yes.
Wait, what? For her to be in the movie, part of her payment was to be executive producer?
Well, so if let's say that she had a certain amount of money that she needed, and they're like, oh, we don't really have that in the casting budget, but maybe we can give you a producer credit and get you some other money that way.
And she said, I'm an actress because I had a series of Weight Watchers commercials for years. And then in the UK, she also had a reality show.
Yeah.
And so in her reality show, she would show up at poor people's houses and make their dreams come true.
What would they do?
Like,
She'd make them watch this fucking movie, and they're like, all right, I'm getting my act together and getting out of this life.
Life's
That
not
was
bad.
the speech, like she did at the speech for the party, which was like 2 sentences long. I don't know if that was. Yeah, she could memorize.
Yeah,
She
in
did
all fairness
memorize
to her.
it.
She wasn't that bad in the movie either.
Wasn't that
No,
good?
I like Sarah Ferguson, actually. I really do.
I think she
you
may
leave her
have gotten
alone.
some private coaching.
That's not possible. This trail's been closed for 8 years. It's extremely dangerous.
Oh, she was definitely better than that.
Yes.
She was better than that. She was better than the guy from last week. Like,
She should coach the park ranger.
yeah.
Wow.
That's expensive acting coach. I hired an acting coach. He costs like $1,000 an hour. It's Fergie. What, the singer? No, the one from years before that.
So Mr. Darcy's still after Harriet, and Harriet's still like, I'm in love with another man. Because now she's starting to realize that maybe Ethan isn't so bad. So then she's talking to the stars, and she's like, I want to go home.
Was this the prayer that she did?
Yes.
And she quoted Taylor Swift lyrics?
Yes, she did.
Yeah.
Yes.
I couldn't believe they did that. That was...
And like a
Well, it's
very
the thing to do
recent
that.
Taylor Swift song too.
Yeah.
Not the players are gonna play, and the haters gonna hate.
Yeah, she was doing anti-hero.
Must be exhausting always rooting for the anti-hero. You don't talk
So
about
then,
Kurt's a
Well,
Swiftie.
Jason Bowers doesn't like. Well, no, you don't like eras, so you don't like her. We probably are against her.
I like all of Taylor's eras.
Oh, okay.
Her errors are all right, but yeah.
Don't you dare
my
make it
God.
sound like I don't like Taylor Swift. I do not want to get murdered.
Oh, no, not in this world. No.
No, we like her.
I
Yeah,
love
did you see that
Taylor.
Madonna fell.
I did.
She fell.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. Our friends were there.
Yeah, our friend got it on video.
Where'd she fall?
Yeah,
She
it's
was
on her
she was doing a
Facebook page.
concert in Seattle, and there's a moment where they're like, she's leaning back in a chair and they're kind of dragging the chair, and it looks like the dancer may have dropped it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I heard
So
she
somebody
recovered
is so fired.
fast.
When did this happen?
Sunday night.
Last
Oh,
weekend.
I missed this. Oh. Oh well.
She was just in Australia this week. Or she's still in Australia.
No, she was in Seattle. Oh no, Taylor Swift
Madonna?
was in Australia
Taylor's in Australia, yeah.
because Travis showed up.
Hard to keep up with these people.
Yeah.
Oh, so we find out that Mr. Bingley left and went to London because he's having second thoughts. And so Harriet is like, Jane, you need to go after him. So they go to London, which it took them 5 minutes to get there.
Yeah, that's what London looked like back then? It was just like a house.
There might have been more than one house. I don't know.
It just looked like I thought London. Isn't there some kind of city back then? There's nothing.
Yeah, there was a
18
city. That's
There's
just
some
isn't that where Jack the Ripper was around back then, right?
But they went to London. It was just a house with.
It was like
London
the outskirts of
grass.
London. You know, like I say, I'm in
So you know
LA, but
what?
I'm technically in West Hollywood.
You know what would be a good Hallmark movie? Jack the Ripper.
Or Lifetime.
And like Jack the Ripper, and then like a woman falls in love with Jack the Ripper, and she shows Jack the Ripper that love can change anything.
And then he kills her. No.
Or not.
That wouldn't be the end of a Hallmark.
Or it could be like a time travel, and someone goes back and they're inhabiting the body of Jack the Ripper, and they're like, oh my gosh, I can change that Jack the Ripper.
Not on Kurt's
There was a
watch,
movie
that's not
with
happening.
There was a movie with Malcolm McDowell. Oh yeah, that's right. I don't like the body switching. Malcolm McDowell. I think he plays H.G. Wells.
Yes,
Right?
I saw that movie.
It's called Time After Time.
Yes,
And
I love that movie.
And he's trying to stop Jack the Ripper.
Yes. So anyway, they go after Bingley. She tells him, Jane tells him that she loves him, and the sister is like appalled. And so then the next day, they're back at the Bennett's house, and Harriet goes and talks to the mom, and the mom is very upset and cutting flowers. And the mom is just like, the reason I want to marry my daughters off is I just want to make sure that they have security. And then we find out that Elizabeth and the mom had a fight. So then Elizabeth ran off to marry Mr. Wickham. And Harriet gets Mr. Darcy, and they go to stop the wedding. And they go to the church right when they're getting ready to get married. And we find out that Mr. Wickham owes Mr. Darcy $10,000. And Mr. Darcy's like, well, I'll give you $10,000 if you don't marry her. And Mr. Wickham looks at Elizabeth and is like, well, later, bye. I'm not going to marry you.
Yeah.
Which is pretty bad.
I'm gonna look up how much that was back then. All right. Talk amongst yourselves.
Okay.
Gonna be in pounds.
Okay.
Oh, wait.
Google.
Oh, yes, that's-
Google. Google.
How am I gonna do that? It's pounds. I'm looking at US.
So So what you do is you find out how much $10,000.
I don't want to do all. This is not entertaining for an audience. No, it only goes from 1913. It starts there. All right, that's
how much
over
was
with.
it then?
You got me doing it again.
What is it in Bitcoin back in 1813?
Stop it. Okay, stop.
His head explodes right here in the middle.
But it's not entertaining for an audience. All right, it's $31. I don't know. Stop it. We have to move on. I can't do it right now.
I would say $100,000.
If in 1913 I purchased an item for $10,000, then in 2024 the item would cost $31.15. Well, obviously this is wrong.
Wait,
so there's wrong with the inflation calendar, the inflation calculator. We'll have to do it some other time. Let me work.
$31 is maybe $10,000.
Let me work on this, and
I'll
get to
understand the logic of this super derivative bad movie.
Yeah, and the thing is, so they're heading back. Mr. Darcy basically, he takes Mr. Wickham's sloppy seconds, and B, Elizabeth is like, well, I guess I'll marry you because I just got dumped, so hey, why not?
Okay, I've got an answer. So this is 1914. So this is American money. $10,000 in 1914 today would be $313,166.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yes.
So double it, and so it's probably like
American
$600,000 back then.
Okay.
In 1814.
All right.
So everybody's getting everybody's sloppy seconds, basically.
Forgive that debt.
Who gets
Everybody's
that debt?
What?
If you're offered that deal, like you owe that much money, I'll give you this money. You just leave her, leave somebody at the altar for that.
Not if I seriously wanted to marry the person.
Well, Bingley's a dumbass because he marries her or doesn't marry her. He takes this money, and then the stock market crashes like 18 years later.
But Mr. Wickham was hot. He could definitely meet someone else.
Wickham was super hot.
Yeah.
Wickham probably had somebody on the line. Like Wickham probably left the church and went on a date.
Yeah. Seemed relatively easy to meet people then.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And basically, since it was all about getting married, they got engaged like date number 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm. Or less.
Yeah. So Mr. Bingley proposes to Jane. Mr. Darcy proposes to Elizabeth.
They make an age joke again while they're in the carriage, and
because Harriet's sleepy.
She's sleeping. Must be that old age of hers.
Yeah, because you are 30. Well, in the book, Mr. Darcy was supposed to be 28, so he's supposed to be kind of long in the tooth himself.
Let's drop her off at adult daycare on the way home.
Right.
Oh man.
Does she
Makes
fall-
her walk home at her age. Advanced age.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a silver alert.
So she falls asleep. She wakes up in a cab
In present day.
in present day. She has the book that Mr. Darcy gave her. The
But
cab driver's pissed.
She's still wearing her dress from olden times.
Right.
Must stink.
He kicks her out of the cab. Well,
Maybe that's why he wants her out of the
she'd been there
cab.
she'd been there for about a week, so I'm sure she hadn't bathed in like a week.
No, he wants her out of that cab. Get out of
But
here.
this is just a dream of like a few minutes of her riding in this cab home.
Well, she's been driving around for several weeks, and that's why he's mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like she
Speaking of
wanted a
sexy
bender
cab.
with her coworkers after she said maybe. And they were drinking wine out of a bottle on the steps of the library in a Hallmark movie.
Taxi
See,
drivers.
well, it's the all new Hallmark.
Taxi cab drivers are a trigger to Jason Dubray because he once met Sybil Shepherd and told her she was good in Taxi Driver. She got mad at him.
Shit.
Wait, what did she say? To
She didn't say anything. She just looked horrified and walked away.
you? Where was this?
It was outside of a play that she was the best man. She was in a revival of The Best Man by or Vidal. And it was a big ensemble cast, but she came out to sign. And I said something which I thought was nice to her. And then I was like, oh, maybe she doesn't have great memories of that movie. Or there's all that crazy stuff that happened with Jodie Foster afterwards. So that was maybe not the right movie to mention or project to mention to her. But maybe the Last Picture Show wouldn't have been a good one to mention either, because I don't know how she ended up feeling about Peter Bogdanovich. So maybe I should just not have said anything at all.
Well, I hear that you can't win with her.
Well, I lost.
That's what we're hearing now.
Yeah, I lost, and then she got so sleepy afterwards, and she went and made that movie with Gutenberg. But
Yeah, that's the one we did last year together. Yeah, she was sleepy in that whole movie.
yeah,
So then Harriet takes a scooter
that's right.
and she goes and she finds Ethan. And she's like, I love you, I love you. And he's like, I love you, I love you.
He's talking under the buzzer or whatever
Yeah, the
thing.
buzzer.
Intercom.
Yeah, the call box thing.
How did you feel? I didn't hate that last scene. I don't know why.
I
Maybe
didn't
it was
hate it
just
either.
modern time.
I like that they at least kind of gave it a twist where she proposes to him.
Yes.
But also,
Well,
like,
it is
why
this
do you
year.
need to get married to be happy? Why is that always the moral of the story?
Yeah, and that seemed to be the thing, the Jane Austen of it. There was always a wedding at the end, like a Shakespearean comedy.
Yeah.
There was always a wedding or multiple weddings at the end, right?
Yes.
Things worked out
Yeah.
for the characters, but you're right. Yeah,
I thought a couple of things at the end were kind of charming. I found Darcy, that sort of thing, kind of sweet, and a couple of things at the end.
but that's all Jane Austen. That's all Jane Austen. It wasn't anything that like these people that are making this movie. I don't really fault the actors. I think the actors did what they could.
I agree.
Let me get her name here. Eliza Bennett, I think is her name.
Yeah.
The lead. I thought she was good.
Yeah, I thought she was good with what she had to work with. I mean, she certainly gets the most fun part because she's the one that's aware of both worlds.
Yeah.
Right.
But she has to carry this absurd premise through, and I think she was doing everything that she could. She had some energy. I don't think other aspects of this had a lot of energy, so I didn't really feel like I wanted to blame her for the shortcomings of this. And I mean, offer me that role, I'll be happy to take it because there's a lot that she can do in it. But it was, I don't know. I'm sure it'll further her career in some way. But yeah, it's not great material that she had to work with. So I'm going to say something nice about it. So
I was just watching this movie wishing that it could be next week. Because I want to watch the Wendy Williams documentary.
Well, do we though? That looks kind of sad.
I actually don't know that I want to watch that for the podcast and rip it apart and make fun of it. That does not seem like it's appropriate.
I want to find something then murderous and like bloody.
Now that sounds fun.
Yeah. Like something
you
with killing.
This movie.
Yeah.
Like something.
I can tell the message you said you were mad about this. You just finished it and you were mad.
Yes, I was totally mad.
Yeah.
And especially at the end, because I was like, I wanted it to hurry up and end so I could watch The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills before the podcast.
What do you think of this? What on earth would you do with this situation? Jason Dubray. He watches these awful shows. What's that other one? This is somebody rules Vanderpump.
Oh, Vanderpump Rules.
Like what they like. You know, I like to watch 3.5 hour Scorsese dramas. You know.
Oh, I watch this too. I like The Godfather. Oh, that's couple.
No,
I
he's
like
talking
The Godfather.
about Killers of the Flower Moon, which I did like.
Oh, I need to watch that. That's like one of my last ones I need to watch.
You got to watch Anatomy of a Fall so we can discuss that.
I got to watch that. I got to watch Rustin.
I watched Rustin. Yeah, Rustin's good.
It's good. No, that wasn't your last one, Kurt. It was Anatomy of the Fall was your last one for the Oscar nominations. Yeah,
that's the last one that I watched. Yeah.
I got to watch Anatomy of the Fall. Then, like for the SAG Awards, there's also TV shows. So I binge watched Fellow Travelers.
Ooh. That's the gay one on Showtime with Matthew Bomer.
About the McCarthy.
Matthew Bomer was in Maestro. Okay, but please continue.
Yeah, he's also in. I think he's up for Best Actor, isn't he, for the limited series?
For Fellow Travelers.
Yeah.
There's really
Fellow Travelers. It's good. Okay, I haven't heard of that.
Yeah.
I used to work with him.
I binge watched that whole series.
I did extra work on White Collar.
And so I've got like 2 days to I got to watch the remaining movies.
Yeah. Is Ferrari good? I never watched that.
I gotta watch that too.
No, I'm not gonna watch this stuff.
I heard good things. I haven't watched Ferrari yet, and of course it wasn't nominated for the Oscars.
I like Poor Things.
I really like Poor Things.
That is something else. That is something else. Yeah,
we talked about that because there's the I like the bulldog chicken hybrid that was running.
Yeah, I like that too.
you want that to win the award.
I do.
And I like for best picture.
No, I'd vote for the bulldog, the bulldog chicken for like best supporting actor.
I want it to get special effects for Willem Dafoe's belches.
That's right. Those were great. I almost forgot about that. That's great. Willem Dafoe.
Oh, Willem Dafoe. Yeah.
Willem Dafoe. We talked about it on the show, but why was he not nominated?
I agree. He should have been. He really should have been.
I thought he was better than Ruffalo.
They couldn't stop and get ice cream because God would scare the children. Great. That movie was something else. I don't think I was ready for it, but I'm ready now. So the Robert Englund documentary is called Hollywood Dreams and Nightmares, the Robert Englund story. And you can watch it on many platforms.
I'll watch it. I like Freddie.
That sounds interesting.
And I made a mistake. Time after time, H.G. Wells and Jack the Ripper, they go forward in time. They don't go back. Just remember that.
Isn't like Jacqueline Bisset or someone like that in that movie?
I don't know.
Like some lady.
Somebody's in it. Some lady. Hey, lady, I got a role for you in Time After Time.
Well,
here we are.
Jason Dubray, you have to come back. We like having you here.
Well, I really enjoyed this. This is so much fun, and anytime it works out. And I'd actually love. Maybe we'll talk about it off mic or something, but I'd love to have all four of us on the Shelf Shedding Movie Show. I have ideas, but
Okay.
I know it's tough to schedule sometimes. I've scaled back the number of movies that you have to watch and stuff for my show just to make it a little bit more manageable. Because I just be kind of interesting to get your takes on the quote unquote mainstream movies.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm down.
Yeah.
And so Jason, first of all, where would the listeners find the Shelf Shedding podcast, and where would the listeners find you?
Yeah, so certainly any podcast platform, Spotify and Apple, of course, and does Stitcher still exist, or did Stitcher go away? I forget. There was one of them that disappeared.
I think they went away or got absorbed by something else.
Stitcher's gone now. Yeah. But yeah, usually and I also have a website, Shelf Shedding. If you just Google Shelf Shedding Movie Show, and you'll find my website, which has now 76 episodes I've released. And so there's one I have to edit that we recorded earlier this week, Kurt and I, part 2 of our Oscar show. And I'm also doing a funny February series, and a lot going on there. And you can find myself, or you can find the podcast on Instagram and Facebook as well. And I'm on X, Twitter as well, just because of some contacts to some other podcasters, even though I don't spend as much time on X as on the other ones too, just because I've got concerns about it. I don't know if others do.
I'm only on there to watch porn.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Well.
With what's her name?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
I'm not gonna say the name. All right. Yes.
Les, where can people find you?
Oh, you can find me on my website, leskirkendallbarrett.com, or you can find me on Instagram at Kirkendall. Jason.
You can find all of us on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads at Lifetime of Hallmark Podcast. You can find us wherever you listen to your podcast. Please rate or review us. Give us 5 stars so more people can find the show. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads at Big Shot Jason. Kurt.
I'm at kurtfitzpatrick.com with Kurt with a K, and I will be in the Rogue Festival in Fresno doing my show, The Jester of All Maladies, in the March 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And a show got added, so I'll be doing 2 shows on show Friday, 2 shows on Saturday, and a show on Sunday.
And what venue are you at?
I'm at Spectrum Art Gallery.
Aha. And I've seen the show, and it's good. And yeah, so I guess that's it. So until next time, bye.
Bye.
Bye.